Last night's Met Gala produced a couple different controversies, but the one that really tore up Twitter had to do with Nicki Minaj, someone who in fact was not actually at the Met Gala, but in tweeting about it started talking a bit about vaccination and side effects. And it has resulted in her becoming basically the most attacked person online over the last 24 hours or so. So what did she actually say? Well, she tweeted, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied." The connection to the Met is that what she also tweeted, "They want you to get vaccinated for the Met. If I get vaccinated, it won't be for the Met. It'll be once I feel I've done enough research. I'm working on that now. In the meantime, my loves, be safe. Wear the mask with 2 strings that grips your head and face, not that loose one." Now, some people have presented that last tweet as her saying she was not going to the Met Gala because they require you to get vaccinated. She is not happy with that characterization of her comments. And admittedly, she doesn't say that, but the language is a bit loose, so I understand why there's a misconception. In any event, Nina, there's a lot there in those 2 tweets, and it's about something that people have strong feelings about vaccination, and even stronger feelings about the Met Gala. So what do you think?
Well, let's talk about the good, which is Nicki Minaj talked about research, that's a great thing. We do want people to research and look into these matters and not just listen to any source, but listen to trusted sources and listen to what the medical doctors have to say about it. The other good part about it was she said, wear the mask, which is good. We want people, whether they're vaccinated or not, especially if they are in larger crowds, to please, please, please wear the mask. Now, the other part about her cousin, and there are a lot of mischaracterizations and misunderstandings out there about the vaccine and the heightened fear that people have. What I do like, John, is the fact that there is a young lady, and I want our viewers to go and watch her. Her name is Dr. Raven, the science maven on Twitter, and she did a whole rap to the incredible Nicki Minaj about the vaccine from a scientific point of view and a rap, no doubt. And this intellectual, she is meeting people where they are. So instead of ridiculing people or criticizing them or talking down to them, she said, "Nicki, here's a rap that breaks down the vaccine and what it does." And I'm telling you, John, it is absolutely magnificent. So I want folks to go to Dr. Raven, the science maven, on Twitter and listen to her cool, hip, and scientifically based response.
That
Nicki
sounds great.
Minaj.
The fact that she came up with that so quickly after the guy, that's really impressive. I do like that.
It is very much so.
And I'm glad that you acknowledge the good, like she does push for masking and stuff like that. So look, I'm not interested in just piling on Nicki Minaj. Certainly a lot of people have already done it. And look, it's complicated because of course she has a lot of followers, and so people are worried about the spread of misinformation, but she's also a singer. Like, she's not a scientist, she's not a politician. That doesn't mean that she shouldn't be responsible or whatever, but like, she never on Twitter, I don't think, said, by the way, follow me for your medical information. So who knows? And piling on her might make her less likely to, maybe correct this a bit at some point. But what I will say is that I feel a bit bad for the cousin in Trinidad, and especially bad for the friend, because man, they did not know they would become the worldwide focus of conversation. What I will also say is that the speculation I have seen is that if the story is accurate as it's being presented, that this guy became impotent, had his testicles swell, and then his girlfriend called off their wedding, that sounds more like the result of an STI than a vaccine side effect. But I, like Nicki Minaj, am not a doctor. And so,
and you don't play one on TV either, John.
No, I don't. I watch it, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complicated situation. Nicki, at least from what I read in her tweets, was telling a story based on some information she got from her cousin. Let's just put that right there. There are all kinds of other issues surrounding this story, as you just laid out, John, that we may not ever know the other details to. piling on Nicki Minaj makes absolutely no sense. I think people need to do more of what the good doctor did, and just really get in there and try to help people understand the vaccine, what is behind the vaccine, what is the scientific basis of the vaccine, and why we must get to herd immunity, not just in this country, but in the world. So instead of using that information, or instead of using energy, in my opinion, to pile on to Nicki Minaj, other than pointing out, Nicki, maybe you shouldn't have shared this story without having all of the other medical facts, I think that's a fair assessment to make. But just jumping on Nicki Minaj over her comments doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Let's just try to make this right and get people the best information that we can about the vaccine and why it is important to get vaccinated.
Agreed. And I will now do that. I mean, not really me. I'm gonna read what much smarter doctors have said about this. And look, in general terms, we've done thousands of COVID stories and hundreds about vaccinations. So everybody watching this knows that you're far more likely to survive a bout with COVID if you're vaccinated. You're far less likely to be hospitalized, experience bad side effects of COVID. But this has raised the topic of fertility, the reproductive system, and all that. So let's focus a little bit on that. Currently, according to the CDC, there's no evidence that shows that any vaccines, including COVID-19 vaccines, cause male fertility problems. A recent small study of 45 healthy men who received an mRNA COVID-19 vaccine looked at sperm characteristics like quantity and movement before and after vaccination. Researchers found no significant changes in those sperm characteristics after vaccination. So that's about fertility, but there was also brought up the impotence thing. So bear in mind, COVID-19 can cause swelling and inflammation in the penis. It can also damage blood vessels and lower or prevent blood from reaching tissues and organs. If blood can't reach your penis, having an erection will be more difficult. And certainly there's been a lot of talk throughout the pandemic about that. So if your fear is impotence, fear less the vaccine than the virus that could potentially do real damage to you. And by the way, fever from illness has been associated with short-term decrease in sperm production in healthy men. Although fever can be a side effect of COVID vaccination, there is no current evidence that fever after COVID vaccination affects sperm production. But the fever from COVID in theory could. So I am glad that the topic of, people take this seriously. It's reproduction and men certainly take it seriously. Get vaccinated. That seems like your best protection. Any thoughts?
I mean, fever accompanies lots of illnesses too, John. So let's just put this out there. And I know the heightenedness, I was just not feeling well, called a love bug, as one of my dear friends called it from my beloved minister of cuteness, my grandson. But I had a really severe cold, and some of the symptoms were rendering as if it could have been COVID, although I am vaccinated. And the first thing my team said, S&T, go get the test. And I did, COVID-free. It was a severe cold. And so having the chills or having a fever, you can get that with the common cold, you can get that with having the flu, a whole host of viruses that we have come to have to live with and try to tame over the course of human existence. And so I'm so glad that you read what the medical experts have to say on this issue. The bottom line is, please go see a doctor if you have any symptoms. Don't listen, John and I, we are not doctors. All we can do is share the medical information that is out there. But what is not controversial is that if you are not feeling well for any reason, please, for the love of God, go see a doctor.
100%. And as you point out, like you're vaccinated. I've talked about being vaccinated. I posted a photo of me being vaccinated. You are much less likely to get COVID, but it is still possible. And so you do still need to be responsible. I announced in the beginning of the show, I'm gonna be taking the rest of the week off. It's a trip I had planned months ago to go to Gen Con in Indianapolis, which I have missed during this pandemic. I'm not going, actually. I'm instead going to my friend Quay's house. That's it, to avoid being in big crowds. It sucks. I really miss going to conventions, but it's still a pandemic. So do everything you can to protect yourself. That starts with vaccination, but that's hardly the end of it. We were gonna go into a bit about Tucker Carlson. He routinely takes artists, especially women of color like Nicki Minaj, and attacks them as signs of moral decline and stuff like that. Well, he suddenly found a reason to defend her. I have a feeling he'll go back to attacking her in the very near future. So I'm not actually gonna play the video, but did you have any thoughts about that, Senator Turner?
Tucker Carlson is going to Tucker Carlson. I mean, really.
That's all he knows how to do.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it right there, John. I'm with you on this one. Just gonna leave it right there.
Okay, I really go back and forth. He's got a lot of audience, and so sometimes I want to rebut the things he says, but seeing his stupid face makes me sick, so I can't often do it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.